by ChoiceCenter Leadership University is where emotional intelligence meets extraordinary results. Founded in 1998 in Las Vegas, ChoiceCenter has empowered thousands of people around the world to unlock their full potential through experiential trainings and coaching. Here on EQU, we dive into the inspiring stories and transformative journeys from both famous faces and everyday heroes. Graduates who have harnessed emotional intelligence to have transformed their lives in ways that are nothing short of remarkable. From skyrocketing their careers to deepening relationships, balancing creative pursuits with focusing on health, finances, and family. Our guests share the real-world impact of EQ on living a life you author and love. Get ready to be inspired, challenged, and equipped with insights that can serve you to create radical results in your own life. If you're ready to dream, declare, and deliver, let EQU show you what's possible.
Welcome back to part 2 of episode 5, our incredible conversation with LV136's Phuong Huynh. In part 1, Phuong told her incredible story of escaping Vietnam with her family by boat in the middle of the night at age 7, surviving pirates coming aboard and capturing her mom, making it to refugee camps in Malaysia and the Philippines, and finally coming to America. In this episode, she'll share how she came to ChoiceCenter, what she learned as a coach and a student, and the wisdom she's gained along the way. Enjoy. Welcome to another episode of EQU. I'm Corrine Clement.
And I'm Robin Williams at ChoiceCenter Leadership University. Today on our show, we have a graduate from 2014. Phuong Huynh's life is a testament to what's possible when grit meets growth. At just 7 years old, Phuong escaped Vietnam as a refugee and endured the unthinkable. 18 days floating on the open sea, where she witnessed the abduction of her mother by pirates. She then lived for months in refugee camps and eventually made her way to the east coast of the United States.
Phuong currently serves as a senior VMware visualization engineer at Zoox, where she masterminds robo-taxis, those little driverless cars with all the cameras you see maneuvering up and down the strip. Today, we're unpacking Phuong's life story, how her EQ training at ChoiceCenter catapulted her success, and how she's sharing the leadership lessons she's learned along the way with others and inspiring them to overcome life's obstacles. Phuong, welcome to EQU. So Phuong, let's fast forward to end of 2013, and that's when you found yourself enrolling in ChoiceCenter because you started in January of 2014. So tell us, how'd you get here? How'd you even hear about these trainings?
I just heard it from my sister. Her best friend's sister had gone to Choice and she was going through leadership. And so she was telling her sister, Melinda, about the class. And so Melinda had called my sister, and my sister was actually curious about it. She was like, oh, leadership training? So my sister told me Mary went and it's been life-changing. So I said, oh, okay, that's interesting. And she's like, well, there's a special promotion going on right now. So do you want to go? I said, I just want to know 2 things. What changed? And the changes in her, is it long-lasting? Because we had gone to other training before together. We always wanted to learn. I remember when we were younger in our 20s, we didn't have that much money. And so back then, Tony Robbins was on the infomercial all the time. Well, we couldn't afford Tony Robbins, so we order it and you have 90 days to return it.
I remember that. I still have that set myself. It was a bunch of CDs and it came in a box, right?
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, we ordered it and then we returned it because, we just want to know what does he teach? So we had done, different training before. So she said, my intention is for you to go with me to this leadership training. So I said, okay, I'm not working right now. Let me think about this because I got to fly to Vegas 5 times. She said, yep. I said, okay. Well, I'm in the process of getting a job, but I haven't landed a job yet. Let me think about it. So next day she calls her. She's like, are you going to go? And I said, you know what? Just sign me up. I didn't know anything when I came to Choice. I didn't know what is it about, but I think that was a blessing in disguise for me because I didn't know. I just throw myself at it because I make sure I make my money's worth of learning what I got to learn.
So Phuong, you find ChoiceCenter. What opened up for you when you got to the discovery and the breakthrough?
Yeah, so discovery, I didn't know what to expect. And then I realized I didn't really have a voice. Being part of the culture. I think Vietnamese, my dad taught us, for me anyways, I'm the youngest, don't talk back. So I'm not supposed to talk back to anybody because I'm the youngest, not back to my sister or anybody older. So I don't have really a voice. I didn't even really know that until I went to Choice. I didn't know how it affected me with relationship and work wise, because I took on everything. I don't know how to say no, I don't talk back. I didn't even know that I was very angry because I don't know how to express myself. And so when I went to Discovery, I discover my voice. I discover that I get to stand up for myself. I think one of the exercise, it really made a huge impact on me. It really changed my life. We just play a simple game, but in that simple game, I had the right strategy in playing the game, but I didn't speak up. I mean, I speak up to a few people around me. Our class was 109 people. So in my group alone, because we split up into 2 teams, it was like 50 something people. There's a lot of people. And so I speak up to a few here and there, and that was it. And no one listened. So I had that strategy. And then there's other people who want to take over and lead the way and speak. They're louder, their voice is louder. So they, took lead and lead us into a path where it wasn't a winning strategy in that sense, but everybody listened because they had the loudest voice. And so what I realized in the training, because the trainer told us how we show up there is how we show up everywhere. I had to reflect on that because I showed up. I had the right strategy. Why didn't I speak up? Why didn't I step up? And I had to ask myself those questions. And what I realized is that I didn't speak up because I was so afraid that people were going to judge me. I didn't want to take that risk and be wrong. And then they're going to laugh at me. And it actually brought me back into when I was younger and I just came to the U.S. I came to California and I skipped 2nd grade and I had to go to 3rd grade. I only spent a couple of months in 3rd grade and I had to jump into 4th grade because my dad wanted me to fast forward and be where I'm at with my age and class. I didn't know how to read when I was in 4th grade. And so when it came around my turn, everybody was reading around the circle. I was like, please don't make me read. I don't know how to read, And I think in that fear that I'm next and I don't know how to read, I was always afraid to speak up. I was like terrified. I was shaking. I had to speak in front of people. I didn't know why. All my adulthood life, I knew that was my weakness. I couldn't stand in front of people and speak. Because like the minute that all eyes are on me, my hands start shaking, my voice starts shaking. And it gets so bad that I don't want to tell you this and you guys going to laugh at me. But my legs start shaking and then my ass start moving myself because, when you're cold and it just shiver myself, I was shivering. I couldn't stop it. And I didn't know why. Like, why am I so afraid to speak in front of people? And I didn't know what was the reason behind it. But it's not until I went to Discovery where I realized I was so afraid back then. I was young to be judged and, people make fun of me because I didn't know how to speak English. I was being bullied. And then I didn't want to say the wrong thing because I was going to get laughed at. So I think that's what it is when I was speaking in front of people, that fear kicks in. So that little simple game brought all that up for me is realizing, wow, I was afraid of people judging me. I didn't even trust myself to stand up for myself, to speak up. I didn't trust my own ability, my own insight. Anyway, at the end, I found out I had the right strategy, but I didn't stick up for myself. I didn't have the courage to stand up and be wrong and say, hey, let's go this way. So that's why I realized I came to the awareness that I didn't trust me. And if I don't trust me, who will? And so that was huge.
How old were you there, Phuong? How old were you?
I was 36 when I went. Yeah, I was 36. Didn't trust myself. Didn't know how to trust myself. And that opened up my eye and make me come to realize that I'm going to do that from now on. I get to trust me.
You were 36 and you came to LV136.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I'm so glad I did.
We're so glad you did. You are so loved. We love you.
Well, I love you both. And I'm so thankful for the both of you to create the center for us to go and take the training and change our lives. I know my life has changed, and that's why I'm a huge advocate of getting people into the room and having them see what's in it for them, what opens up for them, because I didn't know what's going to open up for me.
What else opened up for you in those processes?
Yeah, so Discovery was huge. I get to discover all that. And then Breakthrough was, was when I realized I didn't even know what my passion was. I mean, I thought it was career-wise, technology was something I love, but it's not my true purpose. and I didn't realize what my purpose in life was until I went to Breakthrough. It was another exercise where we were imagining going on a cruise, and then, an emergency happened, and it brought me back into my lifeboat because I was on a boat, and, reflect on that, because in that process, when danger happens, when we come into emergency, what do we do? And so for me, I did what I did when I was 7. I just tell everybody, we're going to make it. We can make it happen, because to me, I did it. I made it, surviving through the hardest time of my life, like being out there, not knowing if we're going to live or die, or going through robbing, and we did just fine. We made it, And so in my mind, because I learned in Discovery that I get to honor my voice, well, I was speaking in terms of, yeah, we can do this. We can make it happen. We can, survive through this emergency and, come out alive. So in that sense, I enroll everybody that we can make it. And so they end up voting for me to lead. And some of the message that I get to deliver for them, I don't want to, say too much, but it sticks in my mind because I took it literally of them believing in me and believing that I can make things happen, deliver their message for them. And before, I didn't even think I can make a difference for anyone before I went to Choice. And here I am having this group of people. I'm with 109 other people, and they believe in me. And so I came to a realization that I get to honor that. I get to take on that. And also, I also think about my mom, how she stood for me, like getting us to be in the U.S. and having a better life. Having the freedom, the opportunity to do whatever we want. And so, for me, it was like, I get to take that on, my mom's legacy, and make a difference for others. And so from that day on, I declared to myself that no matter what, I was going to make a difference. And I found out that was my passion. I didn't even know at that time, but that is my passion that I get to carry on, because ever since then, of course, in leadership, I have which I love, my coach Pam. I adore her, because what I realized is that I didn't have the courage. I was living in fear. I grew up living in fear because my dad, he was very disciplined. He's from the Army, of course, so he disciplined us and being polite, eat a certain way, close your mouth when you're eating. So if you don't, we get whipped. And at that time, that was normal. We get whipped with a little bamboo. I don't know if you ever heard it. It's like a belt. You can hear it before it comes to you, but we had to lay down. We're not running anywhere. So he'll be like up here, and you could hear the squish before, but that was discipline. But then that put the fear in me. So I didn't even realize it. It's like coming to Choice I learned all these things of being fearful, afraid, not to speak up, or, don't do the wrong thing. So there's all these rules I had to obey. And it's about unlearning sometimes too, because all those, I live in fear. I was very fearful. And so I was more afraid to do things. I was afraid to speak up. So Pam, my coach in leadership, she's like, well, what are you going to share today? when we have our calls with the bigger group. Well, I was afraid of speaking in front of people. So she's like, what are you going to share today? I was like, I don't want to share. I don't have anything to share. It's like finding the courage, because that's what I learned through Choice, is that it's not about not having fear. It's about having the fear and do it anyways. And so every time I was afraid, I was reminding myself, have that courage, be afraid and do it anyways. And so I throw myself at it. I don't know what I was going to share, but I share because I knew that was honoring my voice. That was a practice. Leadership was a practice ground for me. It was like a sandbox where I get to practice and do the things that are uncomfortable and the things that I didn't want to do, but I knew that was going to be the biggest growth for me. It's like when I coach, I tell my players when I was going through it, that's how I felt. I felt like I was being on this car performance testing, right? So you put I put my foot to the pedal, the gas pedal, and go as fast as I can in a short amount of time, the very short amount of time, see how fast I can go and how much further I got within that short amount of time. And so that was it for me. I just threw myself at it, do all the stretches and just go after my goals, really. But it's about being afraid and do it anyways, like being uncomfortable and do it anyways. But the more I practice, the better I get at doing it.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. And it became easier. The more I did it, it became easier and easier. And then my coach, Pam, she's like, when are you going to come back and coach with me? Be in the back seat with me. And I was like, okay, all right. Then of course, I can't say no to my coach, Pam, because I love her to death. And so I come back and she's mentor me and teach me the rope of how to coach. And I realized that's more practice. right? That I got to practice on owning my voice. And then I pretty fell in love with making a difference for others because I see how someone's face lit up because there's something that they learned or something that opened up for them. It's just fulfilling. I'm sure you know that. You see it all the time, right? And every weekend you're training, you see them open up and they light up and it's like, wow, I get to be a part of this. How amazing is that?
You have become one of the greatest leaders in our community, and you stand for people. I've known you from the very beginning, but I realized today that there was more to know about you, even all the rooms we've been in together and all the times we've played the game of transformation together. You are filled with love for people, and you have the courage to match up to do whatever it takes. And it's really beautiful to hear you speak about your years of learning.
Yeah, it's just, how powerful it was for me. I want to share that with everyone. It's like, it's an eye opener of how I was living my life and how I didn't honor my voice and was too afraid to do anything. So that stopped me from going after what I truly want. And so if I can see that, what can other people see and what can they do when they open up and become aware and go after what they truly want? So it's always been a driver for me just to be a part of that journey.
You've never stopped introducing people to ChoiceCenter. You always have people here. Everybody you meet gets to go.
Yeah, so I think about it as, why do I not have them go? Why do I not have them see for themselves and what opens up for them? There's so many different possibilities when you're in the training. And for me, especially when I'm coaching either leadership or a journey within and seeing someone transform over 3 months or a weekend or 6 months, it's like, wow, I can't even recognize who they are. They don't even recognize who they are anymore after they come out. And me too, right? I was like that. So why do I not give it to someone else?
Yeah, and I think to give a little context for people that might be listening that haven't, been through the training yet, I think one of the coolest things about it is that you learn by participation. It's experiential education. So you go through a series of role plays and exercises and games that simulate a lot of the real world situations and life circumstances that we all go through to learn about our patterns and habits and behaviors, limiting conversations and beliefs, things that go on in our subconscious that we don't realize maybe keep us from accessing our full potential. And so some of the things that you were describing coming alive for you in Discovery and Breakthrough were through those exercises where you were sharing the kind of vacation simulation and you suddenly related it to your early life on that boat. And then the people in your training nominating you as their representative to share on their behalf. And then leadership is where after those two kind of eye-opening weekends, now you're in 100 days of putting what you learned into practice and you write goals that you want to accomplish. And then you've got support and coaching to actually go do those extraordinary things and to navigate obstacles and to have the breakthroughs by using the tools, right? So share with us a little bit of your experience in those 100 days. What were some of your goals and what did you create and break through that's you've only been able to scale from there?
I remember those 3 goals that I set. So one of them was financial and then weight loss. But what I really took away from all those learning, making a difference for others, and that's what we learned, is how can I be a contribution and create a win-win for other people? It's so powerful because I used to take no as a no. You tell me no, you can't do that. Okay, because of course my dad, I can't talk back, right? So it's like a no is just a no until I learned in leadership, a no is just a not yet. I was like, what? A no is just a not yet? So if you tell me no, it's just a not yet. I had to learn how to communicate or learn how to make it valuable for you to say yes to me. And so it was like a light bulb when I learned that, because I take it on to my job, I take it on to my career, my relationship, because I took it personal when they told me no before. So I took responsibility for me not delivering the message for you to say yes to me. I didn't create the value for you. So I took it on in my interview, in my job, when I go to an interview, because I wasn't working at that time, right? So I had to practice that. And part of that during leadership is I got a job, but I get to negotiate and stand up for myself and communicate in a way where I'm creating value for them to say yes to paying me more. And so I take it on wherever I go now. And I was, I love that learning. I think it's so powerful, because I don't take no for an answer anymore.
You're relentless. It's one of your strongest qualities. You are so relentless when you see possibility, whether it's for your family, people you date, your friends that are coaches. How can they say no to you? Knowing why you are the way you are, why you stand, why you're relentless, why you never stop giving, because you have literally lived in a place where you had none of that freedom. And so you really value it and embody it. You're so inspiring, Phuong.
Well, thank you. I don't think of it that way in that sense. I just do what I do because I know that I want to give that gift to everybody else, and experience what I experienced, see the possibilities.
Well, one of the things we learn is not to let our circumstances decide for us in life. And your life is the ultimate demonstration of that, is that, circumstances do not hinder you ever at all. And I've seen you go after a result that was not quick, that you had to stay with it and you just never give up. And it's so inspiring.
Let's talk about coaching for a second. So
Yeah.
You were telling me the other day, I hadn't realized this, but I mean, you had some pretty remarkable coaches working with you in discovery, breakthrough, and leadership. We've had David Silverman on the podcast talking about, as a CEO, how he grew his company from the seed company into this multi-million dollar. He does $7 billion a year in transactions. He was your breakthrough coach, right?
Yes. It's such a, I was watching him. I was like, wow, that's amazing. First discovery coach is Guy Wells. He's the CEO of his company too.
Yeah.
Wells Cargo. So
Yeah.
I had no idea. And so he was my coach. And then David, so I got lucky. I got two CEOs being my coach. Where can I go and get that besides Choice? And get to learn from them. I'm so honored and blessed to be able to have them as my coach.
And then tell us about your leadership coach, who it was and the difference that coach made.
So Pam Ginsberg, my coach, I adore and love. And she had moved from Connecticut over to Vegas after she went to the training because it made such an impact on her life. She moved her whole family. And so she was very involved in coaching and she ended up being my coach. Her dad had passed away. She made such a difference for me. And I found out that she was honoring her dad because he has been such a giver in his community. And so she gets to take on his legacy. I was lucky enough to be a part of that legacy because she taught me a lot. I mean, how to coach and what to say. And when I didn't know how to say things, I'll call her up and, Pam, what do I do? And she's always very supportive, even though years after, I've always leaned on her when I get stuck on something. I reach out and she's always there, always listening and giving me her coaching.
She's an extraordinary coach. And the bond that you two have, it's unbreakable. It's really quite a story that unfolded with you and Pam. And she stayed being a coach for many years. Now she's got a whole bunch of grandkids she's coaching. But I know she's always so proud of you and always stood for you. And in some ways, you're very much like her. She wanted all of her friends to go. And Pam, she didn't stop until everybody had been through. We all love the Ginsbergs. They're fantastic people.
So after graduating in 2014, you also came back and coached. In fact, you're one of our certified coaches with ChoiceCenter. So share some of the people that you've worked with that you also remember over these years.
Yes, Pat, he's been on my mind a lot. Pat is a quadriplegic and he's LV133. When he came into Choice, because he's in a wheelchair, he had to not make too much money because if he made too much, he could lose his caregiver. I got his permission to share this. So because he has his own social media platform that, from TikTok, he has like 111,000 followers now. But before all that, so he was doing illegal stuff because he didn't want to make too much money. He was living in fear, being afraid that if I'm making money in a legit way, I could lose my caregiver. And so he found ways to do things to make money on the side that is not legal. But what he realized when he went into Breakthrough was that he has a daughter and does he want to have this kind of lifestyle for his daughter? And so he made a promise to himself that he was going to change his life, but he didn't know how. So leadership was when you get to put down the goals and make things happen. His goal is to turn his life around, letting go of his side business he thought wasn't even possible. So, Danielle, when she had his orientation leadership, she asked him what's his goal. He said, to drive a off-wheel car. But because he's quadriplegic, how can he actually do off-wheel? He didn't even think it's possible, but he just threw it out there. Because she's like, what kind of goals do you have? He's like, well, I always wanted, ever since I was a little boy, to drive an off-road truck in a race. And so she's like, well, put it down. And he's like, really? And so he did. He thought, how am I going to make this possible? I don't have money. I don't know if I can even get into a truck. But guess what? He wrote it down, and we have 100 days. But he made it in 60 days. He created the finance. He learned how to fundraise through LP. So he raised enough money for him to rent a truck. And he enrolled the people to let him drive on that truck because he was going to customize it where he can use the pedal that he has to push on the gas because his leg doesn't work. So in 60 days, he was able to be on the track and with his LP buddy and his dad, because his dad was in the same class with him, supporting him to get into the car and push him over into, the window to get him in and then strap him up. And you could see his smile from like ear to ear. It was like a little boy, I made this happen. And I didn't even think I could make it happen. And so seeing that for me, priceless, having that dream come true, such a short amount of time. It's not even that long, 60 days. And all his life, he thought, I couldn't make this happen. There's no way. I'm in a wheelchair. How am I going to make this happen? But he did. And if he could do that, what else can he do? That's the power of LP. If he can do that, what else can he do in his life that he can make possible, that he didn't think he could make possible before? And I love it. I love seeing his growth. Now he's making woodwork with this hand that doesn't work, and people are ordering his woodwork, and then he's had all these followers. I was talking to him the other day. Before he came in, he thought he was invisible. He didn't want people to see him. I didn't think that he could even inspire other people. But because what he's doing, he gets to inspire other people to go after what you think you can't do it. You could do it. You can make it happen.
He is so inspiring. And now he has, you probably could share a little bit about it. You know it more than I do. His woodworking business that he's doing and that he's taken online. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so first he was trying to sell purses and stuff to make his legal money, but then that didn't work too well. So then I enrolled him to go to Journey because I know how powerful Journey was. Because for me, I see he was resisting his own self. He doesn't like the word disability. Why? Because he's disabled. He's not able to do anything. For him, he's like, call me cripple. I'd rather be a cripple than to be disabled because I'm able. Have you seen him get into his car?
Yes.
And have like the regular car that other people with wheelchair has. He has this wood that he put from his seat of his wheelchair to his sedan car that he has, and he scooped himself in. Anyways, he's so resourceful, creating possibilities for his life, but he still was resisting his own self. And so when I enroll him to Journey, is because he gets to surrender and appreciate and love himself. And so once he went to Journey, he started his woodwork during Journey, and then he started realizing that I get to be true and authentic to myself and share my journey with people. Because before he wouldn't have shared. He did videos, before, and he wouldn't show that he's on a wheelchair because he resisted. But when he went to Journey, that's when he realized he get to be my authentic self. I get to love everything about me and be authentic and real about it. So he started sharing, but the more authentic he is, the more he had connection, and the more people view and follow him. And so that's what he realized. I get to be true to myself and share with them what I'm going through. That's how they were able to connect to him. He makes cutting board with different patterns. When they watched him, they actually root for him. So they want to buy his product. They get inspired by him. So they just purchase what he was making. And so he gets his business by making this woodwork, and it's beautiful. It's like,
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
We should give him a shout out. So his handle on TikTok is Keep It Pushin' Woodwork. So PUSHIN Woodwork. So Keep It Pushin' Woodwork to go check out Pat Russo's page and all of his followers. And he took Arthur's social media training to really learn even more about how does he keep growing his audience and maximizing his content. And yeah, he's an extraordinary story.
And he's
Thank
an
you for sharing.
extraordinary dad also.
Yes. And then his daughter ended up being in TL later on. And now she loves teen leadership, and she's been going to teen, and now she's coaching, she's staffing teen leadership, and she's making a difference for other teens. I love seeing the connection that we have and what a difference that she's making, not just for herself, but for other people now as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. You mentioned that Journey was something that was really powerful for Pat. Tell us a little bit about Journey. I know you're captaining Journey right now? What do you love about it? What's it all about?
For me, Journey Within is I get to go deeply, take a look at myself and being honest and seeing what my trigger and my resistance is. Because I had a lot of triggers. I didn't know what to do with it. Journey, I get to learn about accepting myself and loving all aspect of me. I used to make myself wrong for being angry and being pissed off at somebody. When I lash out, then I'm like, why did I do that? But it's not about being angry. There's other ways to let it out through different outlets and learning. I don't have to explode, or learning to let go of what my resistance is. Instead of going up the river, it's kind of like the way I see it. It's like wasting all my energy going up the river and fighting everything. It's like letting go and going down the river, and it's so smooth and easy once I learn how to do that. And Journey is for me, it's learning about letting go and not resisting, loving all aspect of myself. And I hear that from the people that I coach. So it's like hearing them say, oh, when I came in, I didn't feel worthy. They were beating themselves up. Like, what kind of conversation do you talk to yourself? And people, they don't realize, what are they saying to themselves? Are they abusive to themselves? They beat themselves up or being critical? And then once they realize that, it's like seeing the transformation over 4, 5, 6 months. It's like, oh, well, I don't beat myself up anymore. I actually learn to love myself, accepting myself who I am. And once they accept themselves for who they are, then they're more accepting to other and allowing other people to come in and love them. Because sometimes, because they don't accept themselves, they don't let the love in either. And so by loving themselves, they're letting in love as well. I mean, there's so many different learning, but that's some of the learning that I think is so powerful that I get to see. Self-loving is huge.
Well, that's one of the key distinctions of Journey is resistance. And we don't understand that where we're resistant to ourselves or what we're resistant to in our life, we don't understand how that outflows. And in Journey, through a series of practices and exercises, you get to see yourself in the most clear mirror. And I believe that's the deepest work, the deepest level of work that we offer here. I think it's the deepest level of work offered in transformation for those of us that are coming to courses like this. And it's been here, I want to say about 10 or 11 years. And Keith Bentz is the author and creator, and he's been training over 40 years. And he thought, I want to design something for the graduates who have for years come back and coached, come back and taken another samurai course or another abundance and prosperity course or a men's retreat, a women's retreat. There's really something in every lane that you could want to do work in your life on. And he really hit the bullseye with the Journey Within and having it be sort of the ultimate, you reach the top of the mountaintop when you journey through Journey Within. And it's really all about learning where we stop ourselves. And then that's reflected in our relationships and different results in our lives. And I say thank you to Keith every day. He's a fantastic trainer.
Yeah, definitely. And also when you're sharing that, it's also one of the lessons that I learned too. It's what I'm projecting to other people. I didn't even realize that. It's like, what I don't like in me, I project it onto someone else, and then I make it real. It's like, it's a fact, but it's not. It's an interpretation that I didn't even realize until I went to Journey. It's like, oh, I'm doing that. I'm projecting someone else.
It's such a deep learning that we see things that we have never seen, no matter what age we are. It's a very deep learning transformation.
It's a huge eye opener and an awareness, and I get to see the impact that Journey makes, for the student. And so, thank you, Keith. I love Keith to death.
Well, Phuong, as we get to the end of each episode, we have a series of EQ quickfire questions. Would you be ready for our EQ quickfires?
All right, let's go.
Phuong, who are you? What is your contract?
So I am powerful, confident, and compassionate woman.
Yes, you are. I love that.
I want to ask you, when you're out there looking for podcasts to listen to or that next book to read, what are your favorites?
In leadership, we have all those books that are phenomenal. We have a book club still until this day. I think one of the ones that I really love was Les Brown, The Power of Purpose. Les Brown, he was so inspiring to me because he was adopted, and so he was hungry. So I could relate a lot to his message because I was hungry. I don't want to just survive. I want to thrive. And so learning from him, it's like what we learned in Choice, in leadership. It doesn't matter what circumstance, when he was a salesman going door to door, when it was raining, other salesmen, they go home. For him, he was hungry. So he's like, I got to pay the bills. I got to take care of my mom. So I'm going to knock on the door because they're at home. So like seeing the opportunity and preparing for the opportunity and throwing himself out there. For me, learning that is the same way in leadership, is that you take the risk, right? Do it anyways. Do it when I'm being hungry and go after it. I don't give myself excuses why I shouldn't do it. I'm going to do it anyways. Tell myself reasons why I should do it, just like him. So that's why I learned from his book, is just telling myself all the reasons why I should do it, what I need to do.
You're a tech engineer. So what are some of the top AI or large language related apps that we should all be taking a look at and using now?
I actually been like looking at all the different AIs and how the agent can be your assistant to make my life easier or more productive. So I'm actually teaming up with a co-founder, Robin, when I took business mastery.
Yes, of course.
So I joined the YC Combinator back then. And so they have different cohorts where you can get matched with co-founders. So I just team up again because I have these ideas, because I think it's a disruptor AI, right? But
totally is.
not just being a user, but being one to create tools to make other people's life easier. So there's tools that I'm learning right now that you can customize for your needs. So it's like N8N that you can use to make it easier. They can do a workflow. So let's say like there's certain things that you do that is redundant and you can automate that. You can actually automate the process of emailing. Right? Let's say you have all these email, you can summarize your email and then have it share with you on WhatsApp or your Telegram. Summarize this for you. And then once you summarize it and send out the email to someone else, you don't have to spend your time typing. You can automate the whole process. So I think that's pretty neat. See what you're doing that's redundant out of your day that you can free up and then to automate that process.
That's beautiful. I love it. What's something that as you look back on your life, you would tell little 7-year-old Phuong today?
I think if I were to learn to have the courage when I was younger, I would have been in much further places. Instead of living in fear, I was always living in fear when I was younger. I was afraid to say the wrong stuff. Yeah, courage to see the possibility and go after what I truly want. I think I would have been way further. That's why I love teen leadership, where they get to start so young, because wow, I get to see them grow and move so much further ahead than me.
I have a fun question for you, Phuong. What is your EQ superpower?
My EQ superpower, I want to say being compassionate and understanding where people are at and connecting with them once I understand where they're at. So being compassionate to put my foot into their shoes, kind of like, and understanding where they're coming from, and then having the connection and love. For me, I care about them and they know that. Whoever that I coach, I care for them. I care for their goals. I care for their dreams, and I want them to go after it. So I don't know if I answered that question. It's too many words.
No, you answered it beautifully, and people win on your watch, Phuong. You've evidenced that over and over and over again. You have so much gratitude for your own life, and I heard it in so many different ways today. You have people deeply soar, like Pat. Pat listens to you and he takes the risk because he can believe you when he doesn't yet believe himself. You're an amazing, amazing, powerful, connected, and authentic coach.
Well, thank you, because I only learned it from you, because you've been training in me in all these different classes in leadership. I appreciate you for opening up the center, for allowing all of us to have this kind of learning to make such an impact on our lives. So thank you.
If you've been listening to EQU, then you know that we wrap each episode by asking our guests to design an EQ stretch challenge for our listeners to take on in between our Tuesday episodes. So Phuong, if you were going to design a stretch and inspire our listeners, what EQ stretch challenge would you like to give them?
EQ stretch. Let me think.
She's going through the files in her memory of all her stretches.
That's right. Could be a favorite one of yours that made a difference.
All right. So the stretch would be for the next 7 days, noticing when you talk to yourself, what do you say to yourself? What kind of conversation do you have with yourself? Is it a loving or is it critical? And noticing, how do you talk to yourself? Are you being loving and kind to yourself, or are you being abusive to yourself? And stop, look, and choose, right? Do you want to continue doing that? Because if you notice you're beating yourself up, what are you going to do differently? What kind of conversation do you want to have with yourself? What kind of relationship do you want to continue having, that loving or the abusive relationship? Or do you want to switch it up and do something different? So my stretch would be, noticing what kind of conversation do you have to yourself, and notice it, become aware, stop when you're doing it, and choose. And throughout the week, what kind of conversation do you have? Jot it down and notice it, because once you notice it, you can do something different.
Beautiful.
Excellent stretch challenge. Excellent stretch challenge. And thank you for that. David gave us one that just dropped on Tuesday. I don't know, 6 days into it or something, and I've already dropped like 5 pounds. So we love these stretches. We're excited to take yours on, Phuong. I think that's a great one. Notice your self-talk.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on here.
Thank you. Phuong, is there anything we didn't get to today that you'd like to share with our listening audience? Any words of wisdom, any coaching, or something you'd like to leave them with?
Well, if you haven't come to Choice yet, here's your opportunity. Come. We'd love to see you. Yes, because then we have the community. Like yesterday, Dex reached out to me. Dex is the Ironman triathlon coach. So he reached out to me and he's like, I heard that you have a friend that has a coffee farm. Well, he's got a friend that's into coffee, and they try to get connection to the actual farmer. So anyways, because of our connection, because we're tight-knitted connection in Choice, he can call me anytime and I can call him anytime and reach out, and then we can support each other. So I happen to know a friend ever since high school. Her family has a farm in Vietnam. So I connected him with his friend and make it happen. But that's what we do at Choice. We stay connected. We reach out, and might be something that I don't know, but I can always reach out to you. I can always reach out to Corrine or someone else that's Choice graduate, and we support each other. So it's not just a training. It's like a family, a community that we get to be a part of. We get to support each other in our growth.
It absolutely is a family. And it's one of the beautiful things of being here almost 27 years is that our family cycles back through over and over again. And it's a beautiful thing, Phuong. And you're leading, I'm going to let the listeners know you're leading and captaining the next journey within. And she's a highly experienced journey within coach. And so it's a good time for anybody that's been thinking about, is it time for me to jump into Journey Within? It absolutely is. Come and let Phuong show you the rope.
Yes, come. We'd love to have you.
And I have one final question for you that just came up for me. Now that you're at this point in your life and you look back and you see that you had maybe one of the most challenging beginnings that someone can have, what do you think that was all for? And it's remarkable, like what you've done with it. So just as you look back, how do you think that actually was something maybe that came to you for a reason, if you believe that?
Yeah, for sure. I think without all the struggle that I had in my life, like having to go through the experience that I experienced, I appreciate life more. I appreciate being in the U.S. more than other people that I think sometimes grew up here and not having to go through the struggle, and they don't know how good they have it. But for me, I know how good I have it because I'm here in the U.S. And so I appreciate that. I'm grateful to be here, and that's why I am always throwing myself back into work, because I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the tools I've learned here and for being in the U.S. and get to not just survive, but I'm thriving, right? So I think that if I didn't have to go through the struggle and not knowing I live or die and seeing what my parents had to go through and not having freedom, I wouldn't appreciate the freedom that I have here. So yeah, it's huge. I don't regret having to go through that, because I think that's a learning lesson for me.
It's a full circle. Yeah. So inspirational. So great to be with you today, Phuong.
You're an incredible, incredible inspiration, Phuong, and you've always meant so much to us.
Thank you. You meant so much to me. I get to be in the journey with you.
Yes. We're in Journey Within 4 together. Yes. So thank you for all you do, all the people that you've made an incredible, incredible impact on. We have just so much appreciation for you. So we can't wait to ride in your Zook
We gotta go
robo
with you.
taxi soon. Yeah,
We got to go with you on the first one. Yeah, let's all
We'll
go
see you
together.
soon.
Yeah.
Thank you, Phuong. We love you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Love you.
New episodes of EQU release every Tuesday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Podbean, and ChoiceCenter.com. See you next week.